Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. Excited to have all you folks along with us for the ride this evening. Episode 290 on deck. It's going to be a good one. We've got some new news about Capital City Carnage. We're going to be talking with Candice Jo about Domination Motorsports and their season. We're going to be catching up with Devon Germain in a little bit about how he proceeded to basically break the internet for a little while with his LS crammed into a V8 LS crammed into Illumina, which was pretty cool. That was they have it up in Canada. Brian hanging out in the studio with us already. Giants, they looking better?
No, no, they sure weren't. They went ahead and then tried to give the game away. It's still ugly.
We lived that. The Bills were up 14-0 at halftime and still had to come back in the fourth quarter.
I actually watched a little bit of their game. Frank Gore is 217 years old and still running the ball like he's about 20.
Right.
He's a pretty tough guy. But the Giants finally won one. That was kind of surprising. I didn't think they'd win one all year, but miracles do happen.
I'm pretty sure they got better odds at winning a game compared to somebody like the Dolphins, which will not win a game.
Yeah, the Dolphins are looking pretty. My nephew, we had a wedding, our third wedding of the spring or summer and fall, and my nephew is a Dolphins fan. I don't know how that happened, but he's a Dolphins fan, and I saw him Saturday, and I was like, "Bud, what's up with your team?" I said, "Are they trying to relocate to somewhere other than Miami? He's like, "Yeah, I'm not real sure. Kind of looks like a fire sale. They're selling their best players, and it's ugly."
Mm-hmm. It's not good.
No,
not good.
It's good for everybody else. I mean,
Green Bay won again.
Somehow,
I don't think the Lions haven't lost technically.
No,
got a sweet tie out of this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Sure did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's all well and good. Candice Jo is joining us on the line here to talk a little bit about Domination Motorsports. 9 events on the schedule for this past season. It was a busy one. We're following along with some of the action that happened. We saw Cordell Hansen pick up a win, in addition to some of the other usual players. And then the season wrapped up with that year-end appreciation party, which was pretty cool. Candice, I mean, tell us a little bit about how busy 2019 was.
Oh, just your average summer. You don't get a summer when you're involved with Demolition Derby fun. We had great seasons all season long, or great shows all season long, I should say. I guess all of them were action-packed and good car counts, and it's great to see drivers show after show supporting and having fun.
So, this is your third full season with Domination? Second.
Yep.
How's that process been? I mean, you were up in the middle of everything that's happening with Ultimate Derby, and now you've had your own organization for the last 2 years. A lot of the schedule looks like it's been staying the same, which means all of that bookkeeping side of things and those relationships are still going strong. How's the operations been?
I think great. I mean, we've revised rules a little bit. We've gotten a couple of different shows. A couple of shows have gone other ways or haven't. Decided against shows. It looks like, even season 2020, there's a few new shows in the works possibly there. All in all, it's pretty much the same. When you're in a small community area around here, there's not a whole lot of change. And just like everybody, you don't usually want to see change.
Right, right.
Truth.
It was a pretty smooth process going into all of it. Like I said, we added last year. We added a new class, the Street Stock Weld, and that class has been a hit for the last 2 years, and even more this last summer.
Candice, you just mentioned that. I saw that on the lineup for. I believe it's going to be a Capital City Carnage as well, right?
That's correct. I think once people see the rules, they're really going to like it. Like I said, it was a huge deal this summer. Drivers really enjoyed it. It kind of brings back a little bit of the old school building, but a lot of fun.
What could you just go over kind of quick for those that don't know, like just a little bit of the rules, kind of like a quick summarization of them, and so people can kind of understand what that class is about?
I guess I don't want to say all of them yet because we do have a few changes that we're going to make moving forward. So I don't want somebody to call me out later on and say, well, she said. Basically, all I want to say is it's, a lot like Limited Weld was, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, like I said, it was a lot of fun. It's not all about the big protectors and all of that kind of stuff. Kind of brings back the driving part of the game, and they had to go home and actually, figure out how they were going to fix their car and bring them back for the next show. And, a lot of those cars lasted, a lot of the summer and all of the summer. Cool.
Very cool. Yeah, that was one of the ones I saw when I was looking at today, and it kind of sounded neat, street stock weld class. So
yeah, and it's kind of different. You look all over, the United States on, different rules. I know Smash It has a street stock rules that are, more of like our hobo build rules.
Yep.
So it's kind of different, different areas, different builds, same names, but like I said, I think people will really enjoy it, and like I said, they enjoyed it all summer.
Good.
We've been talking the last couple of weeks about some of the folks that have point series, with Tim Clark having a small one along, I think it was I-75, right?
Yep.
He had his, and we talked with 448 Promotions and about Jacob Prusman earlier this summer and what he's got going for a long time, especially at the era that we're in right now with Demolition Derby. You were closely associated with, or were overseeing, I'd say probably the most well-recognized point series in Demolition Derby, right? I mean, with Ultimate Derby. And,
oh, yeah.
Yep. So you went away from the points this year. Now with this street stock weld class and how strong the response was to that, is the points going to possibly come back?
Yes. I spoke with a lot of the drivers. The last couple of years, we've kind of done it where it was the limited weld and the modifieds combined.
Right.
And, a lot of these guys have competed in it for so many years, and they were kind of just burnt out of it.
Sure.
And, it created some hardships and some headaches and, stuff throughout the last year because, like I said, everybody was burnt out of it and, but they felt obligated to run it because they started it and, whatever else. So I kind of got with them this year and asked them, kind of their feelings on it. And, majority vote was that they kind of wanted to take a year off and have a season where they weren't obligated to do every show if they didn't want to. And lo and behold, those drivers still continue to be at every show. At the end of the season, they weren't recognized. But I have plans moving forward into 2020, and, I hope to have those out, by the first of the year, and we'll kind of bring something back and get that point series rolling again. So I think they'll be happy with what's coming forward.
On the NASCAR side of things, how they've got the playoffs and stuff now. Mm-hmm. Well, there's still people out there that go through week by week
and figure out,
who the points champion would have been based on the 1972 points schedule, and then so on and so on. So, Candice, did anybody keep track of who would have won the points had everybody followed along?
I kind of did in my head. Just because it's something that I've done for so many years,
right.
Just kind of, just as a general idea. But there was a lot of guys that competed, every week. Granted, a lot of the same people won, a lot of same people got second, stuff like that. But at the end of the season, sometimes those second and third places bump you up enough. It could have been anybody's ride.
Sure. That's cool.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, and then we've talked about it. I mean, it would be neat to see a points thing like that, but I mean, it's so hard. I mean, it's with most other ones, you don't have to rebuild the car before every show, like a dirt tour. So it's tough to do. I mean, I would like to see some, and we've said it a million times, I would love for our sport to get some support from some major companies so we can, get these guys to do this stuff what they deserve. But for whatever reason, unfortunately, they haven't opened their eyes and realized that, the guy that runs 10 derbies a summer is more likely to go buy a part from Advanced Auto than, the NASCAR guys that don't buy anything from anywhere and everything given to them. But, unfortunately, that's where we are right now, and it's just frustrating.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, I've talked to bigger companies, just within Blizzard Bash stuff and other ideas. And, they always sound interested, but they never come forward and actually do something. And, you invite them to come see these things, and you tell them, you can give them stats, you can give them all this kind of stuff. Right. You can tell them that people put $20,000 to $40,000 in cars, and they have to buy parts in order to do it, and they still don't. They still just look the other way. Yeah,
and that's the frustrating part. I mean, you look at these major race teams, you can look at any level you want, dirt to asphalt, and the biggest sponsored teams get everything for free, really. I mean, think about it. Chassis you get, discounted price. Parts you get discounted price. You basically pay for materials. Parts, add-ons. Guys get them donated or sponsored. It's not. And there's a lot of fans there. But I think if I'd like to, and it could never happen, but I'd like to take up a count from the tip of Maine to the bottom of California. Let's count everybody that goes with Demolition Derby for a year and see where the biggest number lies. And it's just so frustrating. It's part of the respect that we don't get, that we again and again and again prove that we deserve. It's frustrating on my part.
You see that even in a weekly dirt track race. The amount of people that get free ride sponsors, and then you look at the crowd at a Wednesday night race or even a Friday night race, and then you go to a Saturday night derby. You got 3 times the amount of people.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the appropriate comparison would be, because while we do have national platform events and stuff like that, it'd be more like a K&N Pro Series race or something along those lines. And the people that are in the grandstands, let's say a company invests their sponsorship dollars in one of those teams, or in a drag racing team or something that's running a little bit more of a reduced schedule. The advertising that they're doing with the appearances and the number of people that they're hitting is an inordinately high number. You're not going to be able to do that in Demolition Derby. But the difference is how many of the people that you're hitting are also mechanics. I still think it's a high percentage, but if you invest it's a good percentage. But if you invest that advertising money in front of people who are actually going to be mechanics and work on their own stuff, I think you'd be better served if you get in front of an audience that is predominantly at home, willing to be the shade tree mechanic type, and that's in local dirt track stuff, and that's in Demolition Derby. Right? I mean,
yeah, and that's the thing. And I mean, both of those are, I don't know. It's just frustrating. I mean, it just sounds.
I don't know why you're frustrated. You get into the fair every year for free. You haven't had to buy a pit.
That is true. That is true. But that's because I'm svelte and I can sneak in stealthily. But no, I just, and I've, as we've been blessed to go out and be a part of so many of these shows, to see the time and energy and money that these drivers and these builders spend. And I mean, let's be really honest that, I'd say somewhere around 98 to 99% of the guys that build and drive these demo cars aren't making 6 figures or 7 figures. They are, they're working their 40-hour week to pay their job. They're, to pay all their bills. Then they're working another 40 hours or more,
probably to pay most of their bills.
Yeah, or they're working another 40 or 50 hours a week on top of that to pay for their derby addiction, for a better term. I mean, these.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's. I mean, this is. It's the grassroots of America. I mean, this is as blue collar as it gets. And, I mean, my hat's off to Sam when he did it. Candice is. I know she has good payoffs. Smash It has stepped up again and increased payouts, at their shows, and Capital City Carnage, they bumped up some stuff really good there, as well as Blizzard Bash. But I mean, it's for the drivers, I would love to see them, where you could, make in any motorsport, you're never going to come out ahead. It just doesn't work. No. as an owner and a driver. It's very, unless you're Matt Shepard, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, you can't go in thinking that you're going to come out ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, it would just be nice if they could, just a little more, and if it could come from somewhere other than, because everybody's got to get something out of that pie. But I just wish it was a bigger pie.
That's exactly right.
It's I don't know, and I don't know the answer. I mean, I know I've talked with Tim and Russ before, and they've talked with some, they've also talked to some big people and bigger sponsors, and unfortunately, nothing's come of it yet. And it's as frustrating as it is for me as a fan, it's got to be worse for promoters. But I don't know what the answer is. I really don't.
Do they ever give you? I mean, Candice, you sat at the table with some pretty major players in terms of the motorsports industry, and attempted to recruit sponsorship and support for any number of different shows, including Blizzard Bash. What do they say? Do they ever give you a hard no, or is it just a, wow, this is really cool, and then the phone calls don't get returned?
I think the biggest thing is that they just don't understand it.
Yeah.
They don't understand the sport. They don't understand, what goes into it. You can sit and tell them until you turn blue in the face what it's about, but they just don't. They don't get it. And so, a lot of times it's emails back and forth. I can tell them 1,000 YouTube videos to go look at, and I can give them any number that they'd ever want to see, but they're still like, what? People are going to crash cars? Like, okay. They don't get the aspect of the whole sport as itself.
Yeah.
But there are some, there are some great sponsors out there, and we're lucky enough to get great sponsors for Blizzard Bash and great sponsors throughout the summer season and that kind of stuff, because, they've seen it, or they have somebody involved that works with them that can explain to them more or show them. It's kind of hit or miss, but, as far as going to a big sponsor, if you were going to go to, Red Bull or Busch Light, anything like that, they just don't get it.
Yeah, which is sad.
Yeah.
Busch Light should at least get it.
Yeah, as much Busch Light as that is consumed at Blizzard Bash, but they are good. I can't say anything. They're a good sponsor at Blizzard Bash as well. I'm just saying as a whole, just as an example.
I wouldn't mind having a percentage of the beer sales that weekend at Blizzard Bash.
Like 1%'s fine.
1%, right off the top. We'll call it even. That would be nice. Well, no, but the sport's going to survive, and we're going to continue to grow, and someday they're going to not be able to ignore us. So,
have you seen any of that when you're running the schedule that you've got? Have you ever seen any of that summer fall off, or have you seen any of the divisions that are starting to struggle? I mean, with the introduction of the street stock weld class and seeing that jump up in such a strong way, that kind of tells everybody where the build community wants to be in the Midwest. Right.
So as a whole for our area, limited weld is really struggling, and it's not because we've lost drivers or we've done anything like that. It's just the classes are so close together with your modified. You go from modified to limited weld, then now we have this street stock weld, and the limited weld just wasn't a hit this year because they're enjoying building to this street stock, so they were either running street stock or they were running modified, and a lot of that shows at Capital City Carnage last year. We had 60 drivers or 70 drivers, whatever it was, in the limited weld class, when we should have had 100. So it kind of plays off that way. And I was talking to Tim a little bit earlier this afternoon when we were talking about Capital City Carnage stuff, and he said around there, it's the same kind of thing. Some classes are dying off, and not much you can do. But I strive on making sure that there's a class for everybody to run.
Sure. Is the street stock weld car a more logical bridge to a mod car? Because street stock makes me think that the car is going to get tore up faster versus a limited weld out there that the car can hold up a little bit better. Then you throw some plates on it, and now that car can in turn become a mod car that'll be able to run down the line if there's enough car left. But everything's built tougher in the limited weld, so maybe your car gets tore up faster. Is there any intent to have one of those cars feed into another division so that they can get more use out of that one shell through the course of that car's life?
I would say, I mean, if they really wanted to, yes, but they're never going to.
Yeah.
I mean, we ran street stock weld at every show, but maybe one this year, I think. So they always have the opportunity to run that car.
Right.
You know, mod cars are just built so tough, and even the limited weld guys. They weren't bumping up. You know, they weren't going. You know, we changed a couple rules about, you know, the dash bar kickers and the way that the plates could be and stuff like that. And, you know, a few complained about that, and I said, well, you know, primarily you could probably just bump up to a mod car and keep all of that stuff, and they weren't even interested at that point.
Interesting.
You know, when you get stuck in the class, you're kind of just stuck. You know, you just, I guess, focus on that class more.
Yeah.
Was your street stock weld, is that an 80 or newer class, or can you run anything in that class?
You can run anything.
That's cool.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
I said, yep, it was it all started because of a bone stock class, or not a bone stock, excuse me, a bolt and chain class that had been running around here, you know, by another promoter, and you know, some of the guys came to me and said, you know, that promoter was no longer in the area, and, you know, they kind of wanted to be able to run their cars or have a build similar, and I said, well, I'm not going to step on any toes or do anything and just take their rules. You know, we're going to come up with our own set of rules. It might be a little bit different. There might be some areas you don't like, but there might be some areas that you do like, and we're just going to roll with it. And that's what we did last year, and, you know, last year was the running course of it, and it was pretty decent. And then this year, I mean, it just took off. It was crazy. They loved it.
Now, you as a promoter, obviously you're a huge fan. I mean, you've been going to Topeka from day one, and, you know, involved with everything. As a huge fan / promoter, do you have a favorite class that you enjoy watching, or do you...
Honestly, being a derby girl like I am, I like mod classes through and through. But as far as, you know, sometimes they're not as fun to watch, and everybody knows that, but sometimes they're a lot of fun to watch. As watching it standpoint, you know, these hobo bone stock classes, I mean, they're putting people on their feet. You know, because they're crashing and things are falling off, and, you know, we're smiling from ear to ear on the berm because they're just putting on one hell of a show.
Good.
And because they don't care, they don't have any money invested into them.
Right. Yep. Now you're in the Midwest.
That same show that they put on in the street stocks can happen in a mod class, but it's not as spectacular because nothing's moving.
Right.
It's that is the difference for the casual fan.
I was just going to ask Candice, like the what's it called, the national class at Blizzard Bash. Now, like if they come, if somebody brings their car from the national class, that would run your mod class at one of your shows.
Yep, it's all the same rules.
Okay. So, like, when those cars do show up, do those guys drive as hard in a local show as they do at Blizzard Bash? Or does it depend?
It honestly, it depends. It really depends on who's showing up, really what mood they're in, payouts, of course. You know, sometimes we have to get on them to, you know, hey, you guys have the hardest built cars here. You need to put on the hardest show. But sometimes they go out and they put on the hardest show, so we don't have to worry about it. But I mean, all in all, they do a great job. But usually they're, you know, one of the featured classes, and they're getting paid the highest, and in the back of their mind, they know something major's probably not going to break. Yeah,
well, I just wondered because I mean we've been all over and we've seen cars built comparable to that class, and you know, other than here in New York where we've seen a couple mod shows, the first mod show at Coos was, I mean, those guys were after it. They were pretty nuts, but for the most part, guys don't drive mod cars as hard as they do at Blizzard Bash. And I just didn't know if, you know, out your way, if it was more wide open like it was. Because, I mean, I've never come away from a Blizzard Bash disappointed at that class. Those guys are always – I mean, the feature may be a little slower, but once it starts, the punches are just as hard and just as direct. And, you know, it's
absolutely.
And you know, I've watched it here with friends as well on the pay-per-view, and they're like, but those cars aren't bending that much, and I'm like, But, and that's the problem at home is that people don't see that. But we've been lucky enough to go out and walk through the pits and see where a frame on the front of a Vic is accordioned all the way from the front, and it's back touching the tire, and it's straight accordioned. And we've seen Cadillacs that have done the same thing. And it's amazing. I mean, we see these guys with cages that, I don't know, there's probably 1,000 pounds of steel in cages. We see those cages bend. So, I mean, stuff bending, it's just not, it's not as open and as obvious as, but it's definitely just that.
Back to the street stock class with builds and driving styles and that kind of stuff. Just from summer perspective, it's kind of, we get a kick out of it, our crew, or, we like to see, at most shows we have Dominator Awards, which in theory are Mad Dog Awards. We just call them differently. Yep. And, so they're usually going out there to drive for that Dominator Award, and you see these cars leave, and they're, just like cars used to be, noses sky high, yep. Cars bellied out, just yep. Twisted and mangled. And then that's on a Saturday night, and then the next Saturday you see them come back, and they worked all week to get that car back straight, and they do the same exact thing. Yeah. And then they leave. That's cool to me as a promoter to see that those guys, that's dedication to me in my eyes. You're going home, you're busting your ass to get that car back to how it should be to go to another show. When you left, people thinking, that car's next place that car's going is the junkyard. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
cool.
What's
cool to me, and that's kind of how it'll be kind of cool to see at Blizzard Bash, Capital City Carnage. Those guys are going to be out there in the parking lot, fabricating and trying to figure out what they can do, to get it to that next round, yep. And come back and probably amaze all of us because we're going to think, wow, that car probably ain't going to come back, yeah, and. We'll just be amazing. That's one of the reasons I really enjoy that class because it brings back how, all of the hours I think of that I put in years ago, yep. Trying to get a car back to normal to go, next week, go to the next show.
I think this is probably close to like the super stock that we used to see at like Brookville. Was it Brookville? Mm-hmm. I mean, the one show we went down there and
Jefferson County Fairgrounds, part of the Reckless Warrior Tour.
Yeah, and we thought that they would take it easy, and man, they were junking stuff in the heats. There was literally cars wired together. Remember the one guy in the Lincoln that had like wired because it tore the bottom of the roof or went down tore that off, and they wired it back together, and it's crazy. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this class. I mean, I'm one of the guys that likes to see stuff just tore up, so that'll be a good time.
So that's
I think so.
Just to segue off of that, Capital City Carnage, they released the information about an hour ago, March 6th and 7th in Topeka, Kansas. The two-man extreme class, paying $10,000 to win, $2,500 for the Mad Dog, 50 entries, $200 apiece. Heat's constantly feature format for them this year. Limited welds, $10,000 to win, and a $2,500 Mad Dog. 50 entries, the expectation, $175 entry fee. It will not be a one and done. He's constantly in feature for them as well. Modifieds, $2,500 to win, 25 entries max, $150 entry fee. That's a one and done. Weld compacts, $2,500 to win, 25 entries, $150 entry fee, one and done. Full size street stock weld class. This is the new class, $2,500 to win, $150 entry fee, 25 entries, one and done. Just to give everybody a taste of it, I'm really looking forward to that one. Front wheel drive hobo class. This is another new class, $2,500 to win, 25 entries max, $150 entry fee. And it's going to be a one and done. The rules are coming, and they are carbon copy from Domination Motorsports. And after extensive lawyer talks and agreements, Candice said that Smasher can use their rules, which was really nice of you, Candice.
Yeah, somebody sent me a message right away and said, Domination, I can't remember how they said it, something about, I don't know, creeping into Capital City Carnage or something like that. I said, that's not even close to what it is. Just trying to get something new, something exciting, and, something different out there. And like that front-wheel drive hobo class, I can't tell you within the last hour how many messages I've gotten. Yeah. When does registration open? Because, and Tim and I were joking probably about 2 hours ago on the phone because I suggested that class, and he said, you're going to guarantee me those 25 entries? And I went to say, I think I said, I guarantee it'll be a great class or something. And he said, you're going to guarantee me those 25 entries? And I said, whoa, wait here, But after all the messages I got, I think I could take that bet for him with guaranteeing those 25 entries because I had one guy send me this long message about, thank you for allowing us smaller guys to come, try out a national level show. And that's really what that class is about.
And I'm going to tell you, I bet you those guys drive just as hard as they do in the built compacts. That's going to be awesome.
Absolutely.
Terrific.
That's another class we run it. We ran it at every single show I had this summer, and every single time car count was huge, action was bigger, and guys came out laughing and smiling and shaking hands and hugs and whatever else. They didn't care what they were running for. They had they had fun, and that's what that class is for.
Absolutely.
Looking at that schedule, how much money is Scott Mulder and Kevin Holman taking out of Topeka in March?
Yeah, you ain't kidding. That'd be all right.
Well, they pretty much sweeped the Domination Motorsports season this summer, so
they got those compacts figured out. They do all right.
Nate Middendorf will have something to say about it.
Yeah, he does pretty good too.
He does okay.
You know what the funny thing is like all those guys compete and they all know they got to beat each other and they're all friends. Talk, shoot the breeze. It's awesome to see. That's they know who they got to who's going to be beating on each other at the end and that's something else we've seen out there is it's the same guys kind of that run these shows and they all get along and it's cool to see.
Absolutely. That's there's always drama, there's always heartaches and headaches, but at the end of the day, you have to think you came out here for a reason, and that was to have fun.
Yep.
And that's what you need to leave going home saying too. Well, that sucked, but it was still fun.
Yeah, no kidding.
We talked about the sponsors, some of them not understanding and some of them not being ready to get their head around some of the content and building off that message, Candice, that you got. Thanks for giving the small guys like us a chance to come out there. However many we've seen at some of these people that we've seen on the sidelines of these big shows, I still think that there's a large portion of the population that doesn't understand what goes into some of these weld cars.
Oh, yeah.
Even some of the limited weld cars in that part of the country, they don't understand what goes into that. And giving them a chance to come out there, giving them a reason to come. With a division where they can go out there and compete and they can go walk around and they can learn stuff and take it back home and help get them to accelerate their learning curve as they start dipping their toes in some of these deeper waters. I think that's a good move too. It's got to be, as Candice said earlier, it's got to be something for everybody.
Yeah, and that I think that this Capital City Carnage is really it's covered it. And we've seen it at a couple Blizzard bashes where they've run some of the more stock classes and they all fill up quick, but definitely, it's great that it's opened up even more, and there's you have from a nice basically street stock to there's going to be 25 mod cars there like they were last year, and they put on a hell of a show. So I'm looking forward to
and that's like you bring new classes out to a show like that, or something a bigger show like that. Then you, all of a sudden you start seeing them all over the world. Look at that 2-man extreme class. There's probably somebody in most states that run a lot of derbies that now run that class.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now it's a $10,000 class. So now maybe people are willing or wanting to travel to come do that class because they've experienced it. Now it didn't just take them to run Capital City Carnage to know what it was about.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah. It'll be neat to see what the car choice is for that, because we've kind of seen that. That's had some different, pretty interesting car choices. So it'll be interesting to see what guys are showing up with for that. With that kind of money, it's going to be the top of the line. That's
going to be nice stuff.
Probably won't be many Mopars in that class this year.
No. Mopars had their day in the sun.
They did. They're going back to the limited Weld Street stock.
All five Chryslers that we saw running Topeka in the 2-man class, and that's the end of it.
It's all good.
Awesome. Look, Candice, is there anything else we got to hit on? Anything else that you wanted to make mention of? You had a great season, good support from the drivers, and we're certainly looking forward to catching up with you when we get to Topeka this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep. No, I can't thank, like I said before, the drivers, my crew, everybody involved with the summer to make it how it is. If it wasn't, obviously, for everybody else, my job wouldn't matter, and my summers would be kind of boring then. But, Blizzard Bash is only 45 days away, so now it's time to get back to work to that and getting everything ready for that, and before we know it, we'll all be there.
For sure. TikTok.
Here soon.
Builders are watching the clocks. It's that time of year. Well, awesome.
That's for sure.
I appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out for a little while. Hopefully the racing season was good to everybody as well.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's over with now, too.
Goodbye, good riddance. Is that? I'm sensing it's good to see it gone.
By the time you get to the end of the season, you're just over it.
Right on.
And I think that's kind of how he was. He was going to run one last show here a couple weeks ago, but decided on something different. And so I think the race car went in the shop, and trailer got backed up to the lots, and I think it'll sit there until next year.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, Candice, always good to talk to you. Congratulations on a great year.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Congratulations on a great year. Good to hear the points are coming back next year. And I like what you've been adding for Capital City Carnage. It's going to be a good one.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Good one.
See ya.
Bye now.
Bye.
There goes Candice Jo. We're going to be shifting gears and catching up with Devon Germain here in just a moment. We do have to do this first before we get there. I'm in the middle right now as we're talking. We're planning what has to go to Fonda for the Dirt Track Digest live streams out there.
How's that going?
Oh, my God. My head hurts. Especially Demolition Derby has a couple upcoming events still on their schedule. Their fall cleanup show is booked for October the 12th at the Fayette County Fairgrounds in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. 6 o'clock start there. Full-size cleanup class, compact cleanup, any of your pro stocks, the street stocks, mowers, Power Wheels also on the schedule. Additional details for that one online, smashitderby.com. And then, of course, everything shifts gears, and the attention goes to the Kansas Expo Center in Topeka, Kansas, November 7th through the 10th at Blizzard Bash. Heat draw is scheduled for November the 6th. That's the open pit party, as it were, 7 to 10 o'clock. The heat draws for the national and qualifying brackets. Then those cars will hit the track November the 7th for the national bracket and the qualifying bracket. Remember, the first 2 national teams eliminated from that bracket go to the qualifying side. The last 2 qualifying teams to win their bracket, first and second, get into the national draw. The following year, second round of national and qualifying teams will be on the 8th. November the 9th, the compact and limited weld teams take to the track for their first action, and then all the Team B features, the trucks and limited weld one and dones to follow there. And then Championship Sunday is on deck November the 10th. All the Team A mains. For additional details and agendas, jump online, blizzardbash.com. Right.
What do you think?
What?
About the changes and the.
I think it's cool, man. I think it's all good stuff.
I don't think it'll take long to fill all those classes up.
No, I don't think it'll take very long at all.
It'll be crazy.
Won't take long at all. We're gonna do that, and then we're gonna do that, and everything should come back the way it's supposed to. Eric Remington. I don't know if you saw the footage that was thrown up there.
I saw
Eric,
the thing.
Eric doing Eric things, coming away with he came away with the win over at the Lake Erie Rumble over the weekend. That was cool. Other winners, Tom Henderson took a win in the Pro Stock full size division. Dave King winning the Pro Stock compact side of things. Did you want to say it again or just?
No, I just hard to believe.
Yeah. Craig Vidal won the stock compact, and Dave King was a passenger in there, and then Riley Diate took a win in the youth side of things. And again, Eric coming away with the win. Entertaining video. Alan McNeil shared the footage just as we were going live tonight. You just threw it up there, and about 2 minute and 3 second mark, Eric starts way over there, and then goes all the way down there and hits a dude like a ton of bricks. It was very cool.
What kind of car was Eric in?
It was a wagon of some sort. I'm not 100% sure what it was.
It was a metric wagon.
It could be.
Because I saw that he'd won, and they showed a picture of it, and it looks sort of used to be square from behind, kind of stuffed in, and then I think there was one pillar on the back that used to be square that was you could kind of still see.
Yeah,
but hard to believe Eric could do that to a car.
That shot in the opening, man. I'll never get bored talking about it. He knocked the throttle linkage on the carburetor past the dash bar on that shot in the opening. This is Devin. Hey. All right. So, Devon Germain joining us here. Devon, man, how are you?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
We're doing okay. Thanks for coming on the show and hanging out with us for a little while. The phone lines are still working. Phone lines are still working even though you broke the internet. Everybody was talking about cool. this LS that you stuffed into alumina, and if I understand right, you used an 08 front-wheel drive Impala transmission, made it up to it so everything would still run and move without having to do crazy modifications to make it rear-wheel drive. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, it was hard trying to find the proper drivetrain, but Christy ended up tracking one down. We had to go 4 hours to get it. And we had the motor rebuilt by Jeffy and had the tranny rebuilt by Beansville Transmission. And next thing you know, we had to try to squeeze it into a Luna.
How did it fit? I mean, it lends to think that it's doable, but I can't imagine it was easy.
It's doable, but yeah, it's very tight. I had to make all my own motor mounts. I had to smash the firewall back quite a bit. It was like half-inch clearance on each side of the frame. It's tight.
Now the question is how far black marks could you leave with them tiny little front tires when you got it all ready and took it out on the road and tested it?
Well, in reverse in the driveway, I can lift the rear tires off the ground and just wheelie it all the way out the driveway.
That's impressive.
Whoa.
Well, it's fun.
Yeah, I bet. I can't imagine going forwards in that thing and hooking up because all that weight is over those front tires. And we've mentioned before how fast compact cars go. So when you have that much more weight and that much more horsepower over that front end, oh my goodness, you could.
Yeah, it was a complete rocket out there.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how hard you could hit
in the backyard. Like I have no grass left in my backyard from trying it out.
I bet. Where did the idea come from? I mean, were you guys sitting around a bonfire one night and had a few too many adult beverages and said, "Hey, let's try this," or where'd you come up with the idea?
It's pretty much. We keep seeing everybody online, everybody asking questions. Has anybody done this? Has anybody done it? And nobody says anything about it. It always just dies off right away. So I talked to Jeffy and Christy and said, why don't we be the first ones to do it? And Jeffy's like, well, we could make it happen. So one thing led to another. It took about a year altogether to gather all the parts and get the motor to Virginia and all that. So it took a little bit of planning, but it all worked out.
Now, is there anything left of the car after the run?
The run felt pretty short. There's a lot of trial and error I'm going to have to figure out to make this work. Because I took one track shot right away, and it pushed that frame rail over. Like I said, there was only half an inch of clearance, and it hit the tranny and broke the case. So
that sucks.
A little more trial and error. We'll figure something out.
That'd be a fun car to bring to San Filippo.
If the front rail wasn't so bad and I had a spare tranny, that was going to be my plan, but
damn,
I don't have a spare tranny right now.
Gotcha.
So,
plus we're already bringing a car to San Filippo, so it's hard to get two down there.
Yeah. What class are you bringing? Are you compact or full size?
No, we're running the 2-man Extreme.
Cool. What are you bringing for that?
Metric GM.
Cool.
Nice to a gunfight.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You did you drop the
anyway?
Did you drop the guard in it to outrun those guys down there or what?
We don't need that. We got stock 305.
Oh goodness.
This is it. Let's see.
We're just out there to go out and have some fun and just cross it off our bucket list.
That's cool. That 2-man Extreme makes sense.
And this was in Lindsay, right?
We ran Lindsay last night. We had to run the pro stock.
That's nasty sounding. That would definitely get your attention.
Oh yeah, it turned a lot of heads.
I bet.
So is this something that's going to become a regular occurrence?
I definitely want to figure it out and do this more and more. So yeah, definitely.
That's awesome.
I'm hoping for potentially maybe mini meltdown next year.
That would be cool.
It would have been cool. It would have been cool until you told him about it like that. No, it's going to be a rule made.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And how many times have we said that Derby guys are the most what's the word I'm looking for? Ingenious when it comes to building stuff. I mean, who would have thought of putting a V8 in a compact car? That's awesome though. But I mean, we've seen all sorts of crazy stuff over the years, so add it to the list. But that's definitely neat. I'd like to see that car run again.
The car itself is junk, but I'm definitely gonna build it again. I have a pile of W bodies in the yard, so we'll be all right.
Yeah, I don't think you could ever run out of cars. You guys always seem to have a pretty good supply up there.
We're hurting big time on Camrys right now.
Yeah.
It's time to go back to Luminous, I guess.
Good thing you got 40 Luminous sitting there waiting.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
What did Reg Bono think?
When I first told him, it definitely blew his mind. I sent him a video, and he was pretty excited for it.
Cool.
I can't say what he said on the air. That excited.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was real cool.
Yeah. I thought it was awesome when I read about it online. That's definitely cool. That's something that you don't see every day, and pretty neat.
Yeah, it's cool because when I was a kid, I used to look up to Reg all the time because he used to run with my dad, and now it's pretty cool to share something this big with because I've become good friends with Reg, so it's pretty cool to share that with him.
Absolutely.
It's really cool to go through the internet and read all the comments online and seeing people say how badass his build was. That was the coolest thing.
And there's the boss, Christy, jumping in.
Yeah.
Hi, Christy.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good.
But just going online and seeing how many people have shared it, like that video and those pictures have been shared almost 1,000 times, and that video has been viewed almost 7,000 times. So,
yeah.
And that's only in 24
hours.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, some of the comments, and there's a lot of negativity around my favorite headers, so I'm kind of disappointed that everyone hates the headers.
Yeah, those headers are ugly. Just saying.
Did you run it with the... Did you run it with the stacks, or did you have that dopey wishbone thing on the top, too?
She had the dopey.
We had that on top, too.
Hey, that adds more horsepower.
Yeah, okay.
Just what we need.
Yeah, that's just what you need, more horsepower.
Instead of 350 horse, it was 360 horse.
Uh-huh.
I never doubt Jeffy, but he might have made a mistake when he calculated that.
Jesse doesn't sleep a lot.
When we were in Vegas, I saw them down there, and the sound that came out of them was awesome. So I ran up to Jeffy and said, "You need to make me that right away."
Will
Steinbeck or something.
We ran them in Vegas, and I loved them. I thought they sounded amazing, and I asked Jeffy if we could surprise Devon with them, but I wasn't expecting the actual lashback on them and how everyone hated them. But you watch next year, there'll be tons of them out there.
We've seen them a couple times in Topeka.
Yeah, we've seen them. I think we saw a couple of sets in Minnesota too.
Thing.
Yeah. It's just something different. I don't know. I just think it'd be one more thing.
I'm sure nobody liked turnouts at first.
Yeah, Josh Decker still doesn't like turnouts, even when he gets them free.
The only person that likes turnouts is Orville Redenbacher.
Elliot likes them. Elliot Motorsports likes them. He does all right with them. But
we're gonna get hate mail all for jokes.
That's okay.
It's always fun.
It's all good in the hood.
We've been getting hate mail all night, so it's all good.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, they didn't sound terrible. It just looked weird, and I just think it'd be one more thing you got to take off in order to get to the hood to fix stuff. So, and I'm not about doing any extra stuff, so whatever.
Lucky for us, it was a one and done. So we went through tech, and then once everything was done, the hood tied down, and then we put them on.
Duncan Cram said you need to get an Eldorado now.
That's actually what a lot of people were guessing we were doing with it right away.
We brought this engine down to the swap meet, and we loaded it at the swap meet when we were hoping no one would see it. And Cody Wood saw it, and he helped us load it. And he's sitting there looking at and bugging us, and we wouldn't tell him what it was for. So he surmised that it was actually for a Honda Ridgeline, and we were going to run it in trucks.
Gotcha. That's a good guess.
Yeah.
Yep, Cody, you're right on.
An hour to realize it was sideways.
It was funny to see a lot of people comment when we were loading it. They're like, "What the hell is that? That's definitely not a Chevy. It's a V8, but it's not a Chevy. What is that?" And we're just sitting there like Jeffy's just laughing. He's thinking, "Wow, if they only knew that this is going in Illumina."
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it all started at the swap meets when we started sending parts down.
A lot of work, man.
Coming.
I'm very impressed with the work you guys had to put in to do that. I mean, I can't imagine how much fun that was at doing all that work.
It was neat. I think it's just really cool to be the first to do something like that.
Oh, definitely.
Like I looked online for almost this whole year trying to find anybody who's done it, and I couldn't find anything about it.
Definitely. I mean, I wish I knew. I wish I could see and just see how you mounted it in the car. Because I mean, there's no real mounts on the front or the back. I mean, Chevy, the mounts are on the side of the block like a normal You know what I mean? It's just
Well, come on over at Mini Meltdown when he runs against you, Brian. You can take a look.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
I don't. If you were fishing for an answer, you weren't getting one.
No, I mean, you couldn't explain it to me over just talking that I could explain it. I'd have to look at it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I would never. But
visual?
if you guys are there, I would definitely be there to check it out.
Are you a visual learner?
I'm a visual learner.
You know the hardest thing was? Sorry, Devin. You know the hardest thing was? Is that we were building to rules that cater to rear-wheel drive, cater to VIX, cater to all that. And we're trying to adapt, distributor protectors and mounts and motor mounts and all the stuff that we don't have in the rear end of a car.
Yep.
And you're trying to adapt all these rules without spilling the beans of what you're building. And you're asking your promoter, can you do this, can you do this? He's like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
never been asked that. We'll have to think about it. And so we kind of came into a couple roadblocks, but Greg Johnson conceded to a few of Devon's requests, so it helped with the motor mounts.
We made some compromises and it all worked out. We made the track. That's all that matters.
Cool. Yeah, very definitely. I mean, now you've done it once. I mean, now you know what you have to change and you have to fix, and I'm sure it'll be a process as you go through it. But I mean, eventually you'll have it to where everything is works well for you and you don't have any more trouble. So, I mean, the hard part's doing it the first time. After that, it in theory should get easier. So,
right,
it'll be cool.
The boat before you can build the Titanic, right?
Exactly.
It would be nice to be able to run it with a brace because that would give it a little bit more protection. The class we ran it in didn't have any protection at all, so a lot of people online were going, "Oh my God, you're so stupid! Why are you spending that money and running it without a brace?" But
because we like to party.
Yeah,
we like to party.
Absolutely.
But here we go. This was really fun, but if we could just have a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
We blew apart a nice expensive training, but it was fun.
Yep. Definitely. I'm sure you'll find another tranny. You guys, there's all sorts of parts in Canada, so I'm sure you'll find another one.
We're gonna cut the car apart and find out what exactly went wrong and find out what we can do to make it better next time, and trial and error will eventually get it figured out.
Absolutely.
Most
But
definitely.
we didn't hit too many hiccups throughout the build, so it wasn't too bad.
Good deal.
That is some scary good news.
Yeah. It'll be neat to see that car run.
It would be.
I mean, I'm going to enjoy it.
Was this a trial for something bigger?
Well, potentially, yes.
Yeah. Huh.
Once we get it perfected, we'll see how far it goes. But we have some thoughts in the back of our heads.
He wants to run it at Bash.
Yeah, we're thinking Bash for cash. That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yep. That
Do
would
like
be
80s
cool.
wire or something with it, or pro stock.
That would be neat.
Compacts.
Yeah, compacts. It's all good.
Run it at
Oh, V6 Max.
Oh, wait.
But it'd be fun trying to see all the 80s wire cars catch it.
Yeah. No doubt.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was on yesterday. Was all the rear-wheel drive guys? Yeah, that's different, and we definitely won't be able to catch him if he gets out. So we better take him out right away.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean,
If I got the space, they wouldn't be able to catch me. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's just it. I mean, with a front-wheel drive car, they're hard to catch. So.
Yeah, we're way faster, way more maneuverable.
Yep.
We got a nice bumper height for picking tires off easy.
Yep. That you do.
It's been stupid of them not to target him right off the bat.
Yeah, I fully expected it. So made one hit, backed away, and as soon as I put in drive and picked my next shot, the car was coming. I couldn't get out of the way.
Yeah, Tyler made a great hit, pushed him into the wall, and Bobby Kuzno was right behind him. It was a freight train.
Oh yeah, they were coming for me.
Yeah, it's
Bobby.
numbers. They're hard to beat sometimes.
Yeah, I can't blame them. I would have did the same thing if I was in their shoes.
Sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But
For sure.
part of the show.
All about Derby.
Yeah, you see something different, it's like, hey, I don't like that. We got to get rid of that.
Yep.
Where are you guys running next?
The next build for us is San Filippo. We're doing one local show here this weekend, and then San Filippo for us, and then that'll be it.
Cool.
Sweet. You guys doing any traveling in
Start
the?
building for Bash.
There you go.
You doing any traveling in the winter?
I don't think so. Oh, we're going to Cuba for a vacation because we need that after all this.
Nice.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's running relic class at Bash next year.
Cool.
Very cool. Nice.
Got
That's
a
awesome.
56 DeSoto sitting out here.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's great.
So, of course, it'll have an LS in it, right?
There you go. Very cool.
I like it. That'll be awesome. Well, you guys have definitely earned that trip to Cuba. Enjoy that, and we look forward to catching up with you at San Filippo.
Yeah, we'll definitely see you there.
For sure. Congratulations on the run, man. That was cool.
Have a good one, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya. It's a little crazy.
Great people. Definitely two of the great
Always.
people of Derbian. Even though, Devon stole my roof sign design. But, hey, that's okay.
No, not stole. Asked for.
Oh, okay.
No,
I know. I was picking on him last time I saw him at Bash for Cash.
Well, that's why he doesn't run it anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just so you know.
I haven't ran it either. I ran your other one you made me this year. For the half a show I ran. It wasn't even a half a show. It was like
you got 3 or 4 of them.
Three.
You know what you don't have is one of the heavy ones.
No, I won't have one of the heavy ones. No. Nope.
I got a request for 4 race cars. They're like, is there any chance we can have them for some of these races coming up? You haven't even told me what colors you wanted. Like, I don't know.
You're Chris Marquardt. You'll get it done.
Yeah.
Did you say this is show 290?
290, yeah.
That is amazing.
Yep, 290. Almost didn't happen. We almost did not get on the air tonight. Notwithstanding earlier. I got a phone call from the nurse at about 2:10 at school. Now, usually when I get a call from Waterloo, I just assume that it's a robocall saying that we went into lockout, blah, 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 something. Perhaps some loon held up a local 7-Eleven and then put it on Facebook and went on a...
It did happen last week.
But I just looked at it and I had this thing. It's like, better answer that. And I answered it, and it was the nurse at school. And she said, Alan's telling me about the head injury that he suffered over the weekend, and he's down here laying down, that he's having trouble seeing, and he's got a headache and fuzzy vision. And I said, well, do I need to come and get him? And I'm like, no, I let him rest a while, and he's on his way back. And but you should really get it checked out, because he had collided with another kid at the soccer game on Saturday. They went shoulder to shoulder in stride and then fell forward. And after that, he said his head bugged him a little bit. But then he went and played with his neighborhood friends and cousins, and he watched the tablet videos. I don't know if you're familiar with Chad and V, but...
No. Amazing. Your favorite things in the world.
No.
Bad guess.
But he watched that all right, and then we went to the Bills game on Sunday, and out in the heat and stuff, he said that his head bugged him a little bit, but I started worrying about... I explained that, it's always when he has to do stuff that he doesn't want to do, like go to bed, put the tablet away, whatever, and it seems to bug him. And the nurse was not that impressed. that I was perhaps not taking a
proactive?
No, that it's like Mr. Marquardt, head injuries for children this age should be taken seriously, regardless. A head doesn't have to strike the floor or another person in order for it to be injured. You explained that there was a... The ball never struck him in the head, or he was never kicked in the head. And I said, do you know Eric Moulet?
Yeah, no doubt. He's cracked like 6 helmets. He's fine. Well, relatively.
But he's when we got him, I picked him up after school. He finished the day, and the nurse said, just don't do anything too crazy. So he's home chilling out. But with the rain and everything, there was no practices or anything. So I didn't think we were going to make it, because if we were picking him up and heading off to get CAT scans and stuff done.
Scary, man.
Yeah, I didn't like it too much.
Scary. It's one of those things where we've both went through concussions. We didn't worry about them that much, but
tons.
But your kids, or your own kids, get hurt, and you start worried about stuff that you didn't used to worry about.
Sometimes for fun, when I hear about head injuries, I just go through and make sure I can still count all of mine. I don't forget any of them.
I've had a couple, 2, 3. Brett Riley gave me one. I got one in football, maybe 2 in football.
Yeah.
I don't know what else. I think I only had 3. Double digits.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Almost.
Good for you. Uh-huh. So what do you think? Did you think when you asked me if I wanted to do a podcast, we'd make it to 290?
It's funny you should say that, because when Christy was talking about, it's always fun to be somebody that did something first. And I thought about you. I was going to make a joke. It's like, well, tell me something that you did first. It's like, well, this. You could have easily just said, we're here. I'm 290 times over.
I'm just part of your dream, but yeah, it's crazy. And and I've said it to you off air, and you've downplayed it, but I'm going to say it to you again on air. I think it's funny that you started this program and kind of brought the world of live streaming demolition derbies that kind of, you really brought that to the forefront. And now magically, all these racing things have popped up all over. They're doing stuff a lot like what you do.
I know.
And you're too modest, but they say that, what is it? Flat or...
I'd pump the brakes on it. They've been doing that a whole lot longer than we have.
No.
But yes, they have.
No.
Dirt Vision's been around forever.
Dirt Vision, I'll stop on air, but
Dirt Vision's the one locally. That's the.
Okay, let's change the subject. I don't want to say anything that can impede any further work for you. So
going to Fonda on Saturday. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, great.
Got to pack all the bags here.
Alex Friesen and Matt Shepard won too.
Well, I don't know. I
or
don't
not
think
Alex
Friesen, but
Stewie and Matt won too.
I think odds are good for that outcome.
That's Saturday?
Yeah.
No, it can't be Saturday because that's the Harris Memorial at Canandaigua.
It is Saturday.
I thought that was a series race there. Are you sure?
Yes.
There's a lot of cars that ain't going to be a Fonda.
There's a lot of cars that ain't going to be a Canandaigua.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This was first. This event was booked first with Brett Dale.
Is it a series, one of Brett's series races? Or?
I believe so.
Oh, all right. See, I'm not up on dirt racing that much anymore.
It's okay.
I know where my brother's going to be, and the Dave Rouser 48 too.
Alan Johnson picked up 2 wins, extends his streak to 45 consecutive seasons.
When did he get to second one?
He won over the weekend the Gunslinger 50.
Black Rock?
At Outlaw.
Oh.
Yep. And then he won the last night of
Canandaigua.
I think at Canandaigua, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 45 years to do anything is a long time.
Yeah, he's not bad. Danny has not won a feature this year.
No, but he's coming into the time of year where he starts getting really good. So we'll have to see what happens.
We'll see.
What do you think? That going to do it?
It's amazing, man. 290 shows.
290.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep, we sure do appreciate it. 290 in the books. We'll be back again next week. Right now we're on pace to hit number 300 the first week of December. God willing, right?
God willing.
God willing. We'll see you next time. We appreciate it. Big thanks to Candice for making time for us. Big thanks for Devon and Christy coming on. Congratulations out to everybody that won over at the Lake Erie Rumble. We'll see you next time.
The Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.